Have you ever wondered why anxiety just won't budge? Like, what is it doing here anyway? Welcome to the Ease Anxiety Podcast. I'm Diante, a psychologist turned international anxiety coach, and I'm on a mission to share a new perspective on anxiety that puts you firmly back in control of your life so that anxiety no longer interrupts you. So grab your cuppa, get comfy, and listen in as we demystify, destigmatize, and deconstruct what you think you know about anxiety so that you can finally do what you have struggled with for so long. Ease anxiety for good.
I've tried everything. If you've ever said that or thought it, then I want you to stay with me for this episode because that sentence usually comes loaded with something very heavy beneath it. Frustration, exhaustion, and if we're being totally honest, maybe a quiet fear that you're just someone who cannot be helped. Now, I want to challenge that today, not with toxic positivity, not with just keep trying, but with something that I genuinely believe and that I've seen hold true again and again. If you've tried everything and you're still stuck, that's not evidence that you're beyond help, please believe me. It's evidence that you've been solving the wrong problem. And that's actually good news because wrong problems can be corrected. So, I've tried everything. Well, let's look honestly at what's usually in that list of everything. It's the therapy, the medication, maybe the breath work, the meditation apps, the journaling, the exercise routine, the supplements, the books, so many books, the podcasts. Does it sound familiar? Well, here's what I notice about almost everything that's on that list. It's always aimed at the symptoms of anxiety, right? The racing heart, the spiraling thoughts, the overthinking, the panic, the dread. And the goal of most of these tools is to turn the volume of those symptoms down, to make those feelings smaller, to make them more manageable, to make them less overwhelming in the moment. And they can do that. And some of those strategies are going to do it really well. Let's face it, a benzodiazepine does a great job of bringing down the symptoms of anxiety. A good, solidly placed breath is also going to help regulate your nervous system in the moment. But turning a symptom down is not really the same as resolving what's driving it. So it's kind of like turning the volume down on your smoke alarm. The alarm is going to get quieter, it's probably going to stop bothering you for a little bit, but the smoke is still there, so that alarm is going to keep going. And then that means you're going to try another tool and another. And eventually, like I say, you've got the bookshelf of books available to you. You've tried every strategy under the sun and nothing works. And eventually you say, I've tried everything. Nothing works for me. But what if it's not about the tools? And what if it's not about you? What if it's that you're just aiming at the wrong thing the whole time? Because here's what I'm seeing underneath most of these cases of I've tried everything. Now, please believe me, so many of my clients will start working with me saying exactly this. And they're terrified of trying something new because they've now firmly believed that there's something wrong with them and they can't be helped. Well, here's the thing. Anxiety isn't primarily a symptom problem. It is actually a pattern problem. And patterns don't live in your thinking mind, right? They live in your nervous system, in learned responses that are running automatically, often below the level of conscious thought. So in other words, they're happening subconsciously. You're not actually aware of them. And your nervous system, at some point, learned that certain feelings or situations or certain sensations in your body were dangerous. And then it started to protect you from them ever since. And it's been doing that by being vigilant, by being overly aware of what's going on around you, with alarm, and with the very symptoms that you've been trying to manage. So here is the crucial part, friends. Most coping tools don't even touch that learning. They're only working at the surface. They're soothing the symptoms without ever really speaking to the pattern that's going on beneath, which means that that pattern is just going to keep running. And it's going to mean that the symptoms are going to keep coming back. And then that's going to mean that you keep trying new tools, which means that you eventually say, I've tried everything. Hear this clearly. It's not you. You've just been working at the wrong level. And I mean this genuinely, not as a reframe to just make you feel better, but really as a shift in what becomes possible. Because if the problem were that you were broken or beyond help, or simply someone that anxiety had chosen to follow forever, well, that would be one thing. There would be nothing to correct. But that's not what's happening. What's happening is that your nervous system has learned a pattern, and learned patterns can be unlearned. Not instantly, not easily, but genuinely, measurably in a way that does last. So the fact that you've tried all these things and nothing has worked tells me something really important. It tells me that you've been doing the surface level work on a root level problem. And once you shift the level that you're working at, once the work starts reaching the pattern instead of just the symptom, that's when things can actually begin to change. My friends, there is a difference between anxiety management and anxiety transformation. Management says, how am I going to get through today? Whereas transformation says, why does my nervous system keep sounding this alarm, and what does it need to genuinely settle? Now, the second question is going to be the one that changes things for you. Now, I want to be honest about what this really means in practice, because if we're going to be real, it is slower than coping tools. It is much faster to pop a benzo and feel better in the moment, for sure. It's less immediately satisfying than a breathing technique that will drop your heart rate in 60 seconds, but your heart rate won't stay that way. It's different in a fundamental way, because instead of asking your nervous system to just quieten down and just step aside, you're actually asking it to learn something new. So you're not going to be fighting a pattern, you're not suppressing a pattern, you're actually going to understand it, and then you're going to meet it differently. So you're giving your body enough new experiences so that it gradually, slowly, imperfectly starts to update. Now, learning something new takes time. Think about the very first time you had to learn how to ride a bicycle without training wheels. You did not just jump on that bike and start pedaling unless you're some sort of savant. Most of us take time. Learning something new always requires practice and patience. So this is what the process looks like. It means feeling the fear and then not treating it as an emergency. It means that you're going to be allowed to sit with your discomfort without immediately reaching for a tool to try to make that discomfort stop. It means learning to be with your own nervous system instead of always trying to manage it. Now, that's not passive, it's not giving up. It's a completely different quality of engagement with what's happening inside of you. And for the person who says, I've tried everything, this is usually the thing you have not tried yet. But I do understand that having gone through all those things and trying all the things probably means that you're really tired. So I want to speak directly to that exhaustion just for a moment, because I've tried everything doesn't just mean that you're frustrated. It often actually means you're completely depleted. Done. Quietly wondering if this is just what life is going to feel like forever. If that's where you are, I'm not going to tell you to dig deep or find more motivation. What I want to say is this: the exhaustion makes sense. You really have been working hard at something that was never going to give you what you needed. And of course you're tired. But tired of the wrong thing is not the same as having nothing left. The work that actually reaches the root of your anxiety is not going to require more effort in that same direction, okay? It's going to require a different direction entirely. And sometimes that's the most important shift. It's not a new tool or a new technique. It's simply being willing to look at your problem differently. Please believe me, you are not too tired to heal. You're too tired to keep managing. And those two things are really not the same thing. I really hope that this episode has landed somewhere real for you. If there's a part of you that's recognized that what you've been doing is working at the surface of something that is actually running a whole lot deeper, then that recognition matters. This is the beginning of asking a different question. Not asking, what else can I try? But what level does this actually need to be worked at? And that's exactly what I can show you in the free anxiety solution class. I answer all these questions there in a whole lot more detail. The link is in the show notes if you want to take that next step. Otherwise, I will see you in the next episode.
So that wraps up today's episode, and I have a huge favor to ask. If you found any value in what you heard today, please be sure to leave a review. I assure you it is not to stroke my ego, although it does help me to know that you love the show, but to help the algorithms get this episode into the hands of others who might need it. Make sure you follow the Ease Anxiety podcast so that you never miss a future episode. And lastly, I really love to connect, so find me on TikTok or Instagram and be sure to say hi. All the links are found below in the show notes. Thanks for tuning in.